Guys, do I have a sweet surprise for you? Welcome to Snack Size DFS. I'm Dan Vespers, just here to introduce the show. Today, back out of an extended retirement, the one, the only, Mike Apotria joins Brenton Eckersley to break down the DFS slate for Thursday, January the 2nd, 2025, and a snack size allotment, although you'll forgive the gentleman if they go just a little tiny bit longer than usual because, good gracious, when you've got Mike, you use Mike. I'm so excited for these guys. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. Make sure you hit that like button on the video. Make sure you subscribe to Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball, and make sure you check out our buddies at Bet Online, the world's most trusted betting platform and the #1 source for online betting. You've got football, college football. It's happening right now. The NBA, college basketball, NHL, UFC, in-game live betting, the earliest odds, and the ability to watch the games as they happen. You can head to Bet Online today and use promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for a welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, the game starts here. At this point, I'm just being a jerk, making you guys wait. It's a 6-game Thursday. Let's let the boys dive in. Brenton, Mike, have at it.
Thanks, Dan. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Snack Size DFS. I'm your host, Brenton Eckersley, and as you can see in front of you, we have a special guest today. I am joined by the one and only Mike Apotria. Mike is based in Atlanta, Georgia. We have done plenty of DFS work in previous lives together. If you haven't checked out Mike before, you're in for a treat. When this guy starts talking DFS, you stop what you're doing, put your drink down, forget your kids, leave your partner, walk out and go put your headphones on and listen to what Mike Apotria has to say. This guy taught me everything I know about DFS and about video podcasting. Welcome in, Mike. It is so good to see you, man, and so good to be back doing this together.
Oh man, that was incredible. Listen, you say I taught you everything. I didn't teach you the hype skills, man. That was incredible. And it's something that, we were joking before we jumped on. I was like, this is gonna be refreshing. I get to be the guest for once, right? I get to sit back and let you handle all the heavy lifting. But it sounds like I should have had you hosting and recording from the begin with. The hype man skills are real.
That's not true, man. I knew about DFS. What I did not know about was the ins and outs of how to present and all of the hype stuff. Like, that was all you, man. It's all you.
I'm excited, man. I'm looking forward to it. You when you asked me if I jump on, it was no questions asked. You just tell me when, right? And that's just because I love doing these shows with Brenton. Dude knows his stuff. He makes it fun, and I'm excited just to jump into the saddle once in a while with you, man. So this is gonna be good. This is gonna be fun.
Me too, man. And as you said, I've taken the pressure off you now. I do all the intro, the outro. I've got to worry about the slides after we record, all that stuff. Anyway, if you're new to Snack Size DFS, welcome in. The idea of this video / podcast is to break down the DFS slate for DraftKings on a semi-regular basis. I'm not here every day, but the idea is to give you a condensed snack size version of a DFS breakdown. We are looking at the 6 games on Thursday, January the 2nd. Oh yeah, Happy New Year, by the way. Welcome to 2025. And also, just a slight somber note, thoughts out to all those people affected by the terrible tragedy that happened while I was asleep here last night in New Orleans and also Las Vegas. Shocking news. Thoughts and good wishes to all you guys over there, and I hope you're safe. Anyway, Mike, let's jump into the Thursday, January 2nd, 6-game card. Couple of game notes for us. We just quickly look at pace of games, game totals, and any potential blowouts. Couple of fast games here. We've got Indiana visiting Miami. That's a 226 game total and a 2-point spread, so that one should be nice and close. We can target that one if we are looking for options. And also the Lakers versus Portland. I don't have a game total yet or a spread. We expect that to maybe not be so close, but it should be a pretty quick game. And the slow ones for the day are the Clippers at the Thunder, 217 game total and a 9-point spread. And then Brooklyn at Milwaukee is also 217, but that's a 14-point spread. So just be careful of those potential blowouts, as we always are. Attack and stack. So we look at a couple of teams on the card that you can always look to attack because they give up plenty of fantasy points. Milwaukee Bucks are playing the Brooklyn Nets. The Nets are giving up fantasy points everywhere. 14-point spread, as I said, so it could get ugly. And the other one is the Portland Trail Blazers, who just leak fantasy points everywhere. So the Lakers are playing them. Another one that could get ugly. I tend to limit my high price guys there. However, there are a couple of guys in these games that we might need to look at. Mike, Indiana at Miami. This is the back-to-back for Miami, so we need to be careful of players like Jimmy Butler, I guess. Indiana, bro, welcome back into the chair. Let's go. Who have you got?
So yeah, you touched on it, right? Back-to-back. This is a pace down game for Indiana. So when you talk about those high pace games, I always think it's important to look at it in terms of relative. Who's the high pace for? Who's getting the pace boost? And that's going to be Miami. So to be honest, I don't have a ton of interest in too many people on Indiana. With that being said, they're all priced fair, so I don't mind taking stabs. I think Halliburton at 8,200. It is an away game, so if we want to avoid him on the away games, we know he takes a little bit of a hit on his shooting percentages in those ones. Siakam's fairly priced too, but really, I think Nembhard is the one guy that I have a little bit of interest at that 5,200. Been playing very consistent minutes as of late. Dropped 40 points or more in 2 out of the past 3 games. I'm not expecting 40 at 5,200, but we know the upside's there. So he's probably the one guy I have a little bit of interest in outside of a couple dart throws.
Man, you can just take over. I'm going to take my headphones off, walk out. This is the only guy I have interest in with the Indiana team as well. It's Nembhard 5,200. I've got written there and underlined. Might be the only guy I'll really look at here. So we can just move on straight into the Miami side of the court. We do have a back-to-back here. They are playing the Pelicans today. I haven't seen a score. They're probably beating the living crap out of us because that's just what happens when you play the Pelicans these days. Jimmy Butler on a back-to-back, we need to be careful of that. Duncan Robinson is in today. He was questionable before the game, I believe, so watch that as well. Miami Heat, bro, taking on the Pacers. As you said, they will get a pace bump here. Who do you have for us?
Yeah, so I mean, these teams have faced off a couple of times already this year. Butler hasn't played in a single one of them. The main thing that like you said, we have to see if Butler's going to play. It's second half of a back-to-back. I anticipate he does, but it's still something worth monitoring. They'll get Terry Rozier back too, who was suspended for tonight's game. So there's, if one body leaves, there's going to be another one coming in. So I don't expect a big shift in minutes any way, shape, or form. I don't mind taking a stab at Tyler Hero if Jimmy Butler is ruled out. If he's playing the 8,600, I'd probably avoid. Outside of that, really, it'd probably just be a nice stab at a guy like Haywood Highsmith, another guy in that 4,200. Not going to light the world on fire, but if you're looking for 5x value, he should be pretty comfortably getting you about 20 to 24 DK points. So other than that, man, not a ton of interest in this game overall.
Yeah, I'm a bit the same, and it's that washing machine of Duncan Robinson, Nikola Jovic, Haywood Highsmith, even Drew Smith. Like, who's going to go today? Who's going to score that 25 to 30 DK points? It's one of them. It's very
well. Drew Smith is he's ruled out now, so I believe actually he had he was on a roll too, man. I was excited for the young kid. He was looking good. He was grabbing minutes. He was playing a very firm role, getting 30 minutes a night. I think it was like 2 or 3 nights in a row.
Oh, dude's injured now, right?
Yeah, I think he tore his Achilles, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so now it's probably going to leave them hankering for a guard come the trade deadline, and obviously they got to see what they're doing with Jimmy Butler. But I would expect them to make an addition somewhere because it doesn't look like the whole Terry Rozier thing's working out for him.
It's not really anymore. Let's not mention the word potentially washed anyway. Look, I'm pretty much with you here. I did have a little look at Bam Adebayo, 8,400. He did have a 65-point DK game earlier this year against Indiana, so that's not a bad option. Boston at not Milwaukee. It's Boston at Minnesota. This is a back-to-back for Boston. As always with the Boston guys, we have to be careful, especially with Porzingis. So at the moment, we have Brown questionable. Holiday and Horford have been ruled in. Porzingis is doubtful, so he's probably just not even going to play. Who do you have for the Celtics, Mike? Break it down real quick for us.
Yeah, so this is going to be the game to kind of keep an eye on because of the news that we're going to be waiting on. Luckily, it is the first game tipping off of the night. It's really going to come down to like Jaylen Brown. I agree with you. I think Porzingis most likely sits. We'll probably see Al Horford sit, knowing it's the second half of a back-to-back. That would create some value for Luke Cornett at 3,500 at the center spot. Don't mind taking a stab there. Going against a guy like Rudy Gobert, they're probably going to have to keep one of their 7-footers on the court for most of the night, especially if Horford's out. So I do have interest looking over there. And again, if Brown's out, Don't mind taking stabs at Derek White and Peyton Pritchard. Both these guys get a huge boost in usage when Brown's off the court. A little bit more facilitating duties for Pritchard too. Holiday at 4,900. I'm a huge Holiday guy. If you did listen to me and Brenton back in the day, you probably have heard me talk about Drew Holiday ad nauseum at this point. But I just don't think he has a ton left in the tank. I don't mind taking the stab, but I'd rather, I think, spend up the extra 2K or K on a guy like Pritchard or White if Brown sits. If Brown plays, it's probably just going to be me looking at that front court. That's probably where I'm going to get most of my love because there's other guys I want to spend up on over Tatum.
Yep, I'm with you. I had Derek White and Peyton Pritchard as well. Based on who else is out. So I like to play either of those guys. And for me with the Celtics, it really doesn't matter if it is a front court guy out. We're going to see bumps for White and Pritchard as well. Pritchard's one of my little honey bunnies this year. I love playing him. When you see him at 6K, I will definitely have a crack at Peyton Pritchard. Moving on to Minnesota Timberwolves. Back against Boston, it's a pretty tough matchup, but they are at home. Who do you have here on the Wolves, Mike?
Yeah, so you said it. It is a tough matchup, but there's been some value that's got created over the past few games that I think we could take advantage of here. Dante DiVincenzo coming in at 4,900, somebody that's been getting off to a really rocky, slow start since that trade. But recently, over the past 3 games, has played over 30 minutes, has taken double-digit shot attempts in all 3 of those. Really being their floor spacer. And that's something that this team has needed pretty much all season is just somebody that can help space the floor a little bit. And that's what's really interesting and intriguing with him because he's taken 27 shot attempts over the past 3 games, which just lets you know doesn't even need to be the hottest of players, right? He could shoot 3 of 10 like he did in the last game and still probably cover that $4,900 salary. But on the games that they are going to hit, you're going to be looking at 30-point upside in them. So I have a ton of interest in Dante DiVincenzo. Very tough defensive assignment. I will say that he's going to be getting a ton of Peyton Pritchard and Drew Holiday. But still, at that price tag, I think he's definitely worth it. The other guy I don't mind taking a stab at here, it's an ugly play, and he's been awful. It's Rudy Gobert at 6,100. It's just a good matchup against that Boston front court, especially with no KP. I don't have any issues in the minutes. I know he's been struggling. He's been terrible. But at 6,100, you're really just hoping for a decent double-double with a couple blocks, and we've seen Gobert do that pretty much nightly. So those are the 2 guys I have the most interest in. And again, I think if you're playing multi-entry tournaments, guys like Edwards and Randall are definitely going to be in a couple of my builds, but they're going to be one-offs. They're not guys I probably get more than 8 to 10% exposure to.
Yeah, I'm with you. And look, that's part of the nature of this video / pod is finding value wherever we can. And those guys that Mike just mentioned, Randall and Edwards, they're right around that value. Sure, they can go off. You can slot them into your tournament lineups because they're not going to completely burn your lineup, right? They're still going to get you value most nights. So, but I am exactly with you, mate. It is Gobert and DiVincenzo for me, and then we can move on. Let's go into the Brooklyn at Milwaukee game. This is a back-to-back for Brooklyn. Brooklyn is, all over the shop right now, trades and guys in and out all the time. So they are tough to quickly break down for DFS. It usually takes a little bit of research. Brooklyn Nets at Milwaukee, Mr. Apotria. What do we have?
Yeah, so there's definitely some things we're going to have to keep an eye on. Like you said, it's the second half of a back-to-back. So there's a decent chance I think Ben Simmons might sit this one out. With that being said, Cam Thomas was out tonight due to rest purposes on the front half of the back-to-back. So no real minute adjustments are going to happen there. It's just going to be one swapping in for the other. And I expect him just to slot right into that starting lineup. But the thing that we do have to keep an eye on is does D'Angelo Russell slot into the starting lineup too? He came off the bench in his first game back with Brooklyn, but again, that's with Ben Simmons running the point. They may opt to put Russell in there, and maybe they slide Keon Johnson off the bench. Just something to kind of monitor and keep an eye on. And, you always want to be flexible, especially if it's not that early start time, just because if you can make that adjustment and capitalize on that, and Russell does start at 5,200, he's a smash play. I think I would definitely take a look at if he's coming off the bench. I don't mind going with him again. He's probably going to get a little bit of limited minutes, but he's a good GPP play regardless. The other guy I'm looking at is Cam Thomas at 6,800. That's a fantastic price tag for Cam Thomas. We saw him only play 25 minutes in that first game back. but they rest him on the first half of the back-to-back. I anticipate the minutes probably float right around that 30 range, which is all Cam Thomas needs to be lightning in a bottle. I mean, this guy was getting priced upwards almost to the 8K mark earlier in the season before he got hurt. So now you're getting a significant discount of about anywhere between $700 to $1,000 off of him right now. So definitely interested in both those guys. Probably it for me. I'll probably leave it right there. Don't mind if you want to take a shot at Claxton in the back-to-back. He did play in the last back-to-back, so I don't anticipate him resting at all, but mostly those two guys are my main interest, and I'd probably want to run it back with somebody on the other side if I do get both of them.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, I'm not interested in Claxton. I always worry about guys playing center positions or big positions up against Giannis because that dude just drives through you 3 times. You got 3,007 minutes, and it's good night for your DFS lineup. So yeah. I do worry about that. Man, we should have probably compared notes before we jumped in here because I've got Cam Thomas, D'Angelo Russell, and that is it. So we can move on. Let's have a look at Milwaukee and see if we've got anyone different here. Milwaukee Bucks, bro.
Yep. I'm paying for Giannis. 11-4, fantastic matchup, smash spot for him. Yes, there's the blowout risk. There's the blowout worry. Totally understand. But Giannis can easily get it done in 26 minutes and pay off an 11K price tag. We've seen him do that, dozens of times at this point throughout his career. But I actually anticipated this game staying maybe a little bit closer than Vegas thinks. And that's kind of why I'm thinking I'm going to run it back with Giannis on the other side. I'm not going to go crazy here. I don't think we need to do like a full game stack. I'm not playing Lillard. I'm not playing Bobby Portis. I'm not playing Chris Middleton. If you want to go for Lopez, sure. I think there's better center options that we've talked about already and that we will talk about. So really, I'm leaving it with just Giannis on this side of the ball.
Beautiful, man. We can leave it right there and move on to the Clippers versus the Thunder. This is one of those slower ones that we mentioned early in the pod. It's a back-to-back for the Thunder, so just watch guys like Shea, potentially Hartenstein, I guess, coming back off an injury this year. LA Clippers up against a very tough Thunder outfit defensively, Mike. I have a couple of guys here I'm interested in. What about you?
Yeah, this is like a really tough game for me to break down, right? Because I want to have more interest in it. I do think everyone's priced. I think I don't know what Norm Powell's got to do to get a price bump at this point. The dude has just been lightning in a bottle all year, and he's routinely getting 40 DK points pretty much every single night, and he's still priced at 7,300. So that's the one spot, but like, there's no underestimating this OKC defense. It is so good. It is so good in so many different spots on the court that even when they have dudes missing, they're going to throw another elite defender out there at some point. So I think really it's probably just going to be Powell for me. And I'll probably end it there.
Yep, cool, man. There's a couple of lower price guys, 4,400 for Chris Dunn and 3,500 for Derek Jones. These guys are your dart throw kind of plays. I actually do like Zubac in this one, 7,600. I've been playing a lot of Ivica this year, coming off of 40 DK points in 6 out of his last 7. And the last one was a blowout with Santonio. So I don't mind 7,600 for Zubac here. OKC. Here's another high price guy, man. We've got a few of them on the card tonight. Are you playing any SGA?
No. Like I said, if I'm paying up and not taking that kind of fair and balanced approach, it's going to be most likely on Giannis. I think that's just the smash spot for me. You talked about it. It's the second half of a back-to-back. If this one was in LA and there's little fire up kind of Shea kind of thing going on, I'd be a little bit more interested. But for me, it's just going to be some of these ancillary pieces, really. If you want to take shots at a guy like Cason Wallace, who's been playing 30-plus minutes, that's not the sexiest play, but he's got 25-point upside in there at 3,800. There's worse things you can look at. This game can easily get out of hand quickly. It is OKC. They're the best team pretty much outside of Cleveland in the NBA right now. So can easily go that way as well. So I don't think I'm paying up for these guys. I think they're just priced way too appropriately and in a matchup that I think is just unsexy.
It is unsexy. I agree. I did have a little soft spot for Hartenstein here at 7,600. It's a cash play only. The dude just regularly rolls out 35 to 40 DK points. There's not a whole lot of upside there for GPP though. And that Cason Wallace play you mentioned, like there's just I always say washing machine because it's like 3 or 4 guys just rotating in and out of a particular role, and it's hard to nail down who it is. Is it going to be Andrew Wiggins? AJ Mitchell's getting minutes and point scoring lately. I don't know who it's going to be. So I just leave those spots alone, man. Philly at Golden State. This is back-to-back for Philly. So you know what that means. Is Embiid playing? Is he not playing? Actually, is he already ruled out, or was that?
Yeah, no, I think he's already ruled out at this point. It's Drummond that we're waiting. Drummond, Oubre, and Kyle Lowry.
There you go. So if Embiid is ruled out for this Thursday slate, then we are waiting on Drummond, because if Drummond plays, then that just rules out Yabusele. If Drummond doesn't play, then Yabusele is a smash kind of price. So I'm taking your thunder here, man. Sorry, let's go. Philly
finish it. No, you keep going, man. This is your show. This is your show. You can do what you want.
All right. Well, I'll run the Philly guys first. So Embiid out, like, it just gives bumps to everybody. I've been trying to play Paul George in those situations, but the dude is just not getting it done. So I would much rather look at Tyrese Maxey here. Yeah, he's expensive. It's 8,800, but when Embiid is out, the dude just has 65-point upside. Oubre for me becomes interesting at 5,200. He's just going to get more shots because Embiid's not out there shooting it every time he touches it. And as I mentioned, if Drummond can go, it's him at 5,100. If Drummond can't go as well as Embiid, then it's Gershon Yabusele at 4,500. Anything to add there, man?
No, I love Paul George in this matchup. 7K, the great price tag. I don't mind taking a stab at him. I mean, listen, I like to get a little risky sometimes, and you got to in DFS you got to keep the mindset of there's a lot of people that just are going to check those game scores, they're going to check those box logs, and they're going to say, why the hell would I play this dude? He's washed, he's trash. He's Paul George, right? And the main thing comes down to his shot attempts, and we're taking a guy off the court in Joel Embiid who's been taking about 25 of those when he does play. This should be a pretty good pace game for them. We know that Golden State's defense hasn't been anything worth noting so far this year. A little bit better once they put the Trayce Jackson-Davis now at center, but I do think that's a good price tag for Paul George. I don't mind paying that one bit. Yabusele, like you said, if there's no Drummond, fire him up. Probably one of the better values on the slate, if not the best. So I'd be all over that. And if Drummond does play at 5,100, I don't mind taking a stab at him either. I think it's one of those that people might be a little deterred just because it's Golden State, but this isn't the same Golden State team that is afraid to play big now. I mean, they've been getting some of their best ball in recent games with Trayce Jackson-Davis at center. So that's it for me, though.
That's cool, man. And Trayce Jackson-Davis isn't the biggest big you've ever seen, but yeah, nice to see them playing out there from a season-long fantasy point of view as well. Slight break there for technical difficulties. Sorry about that. We're halfway through the Philly and Golden State game. Golden State Warriors, Mike, let's do this thing. Let's wrap this show up. We've got 2 games to go. Bring it on, man.
Yeah, lightning round, right? So got to wait on Curry, $8,700 for him. It's a good price tag, but kind of alluded to some of the guys I'm interested in, and it's just tough for me to land on a lot of these good guys at that $8,800 price range, him and Maxey. So I don't think I'll end up with Curry, whether he plays or not. But I do like Kuminga, 6K. That's a great price tag for him, a good matchup for him as well. So a ton of interest in Kuminga, the way that they've been using him in his new role. Trayce Jackson-Davis at $4,700. I think it's a good price tag. He's been getting, again, a good role, consistent minutes, 26 or more over the past few games. Steve Kerr has been hyping him up. And especially knowing that there's no Embiid, I don't think we have to worry about much of foul trouble, regardless of whether it's Drummond or Yabusele, if I can pronounce it correctly, at center. So definitely interest in those 2 guys mostly. And if there is no Curry, I have interest in Schroeder at 5K. And to be honest, some of his poor games and poor performances make him a GPP play regardless. I just wouldn't trust him in cash games unless we see Curry's rolled out. So those are the 3 guys I have the most interest in. Outside of that, I'm probably okay.
I'm exactly with you. Straight down the line, man. Kuminga's just too cheap for a guy who's now playing 30 plus just about every night. He's got that 50-point upside happening right now. It's Schroeder. If Steph Curry can't go, yeah, he hasn't been really getting it done, but give him some time to settle into that Warriors lineup. And it's Trayce Jackson-Davis at 4,700. Pretty much too cheap at 4,700 himself. So we are now into the last game of the day. Portland at Lakers. I just want to check if we've got an updated game total here. No, we don't. So we can just continue on as if this is going to be a pretty quick game, which I assume it will be. Portland Trail, but Blazers, Mike, do you think?
Yeah, so this is just a great spot, a great game to target. Last game of the night. We know we're going to want some action, 10:30 game, 10:30 Eastern time, that is, right? I have a ton of interest, I think, on this Portland side of the ball. Who is it going to be at the end of the day is the question, but there's going to be at least two guys that have some pretty good games, I think, here. The two guys I'm most interested in would be DeAndre Ayton at 6,300. Talked about a ton of centers, and again, why I probably won't end up with a ton of shares of the guys like the Hartensteins and the Zubaks of the world. I think they're great guys and great matchups, probably great cash game centers, but there's just so many guys 6K or less at that center spot that I have a lot of interest in. Shaden Sharp at 5,800. It's just a little too cheap. He's put up a couple spicy games, 2 out of the past 3 with at least 38 DK points. He dropped 30 DK points on this team earlier in the year, so I don't mind taking a dart throw over there. The only other guys that I really have interest in would be, Denny. Been getting it done lately at 5,700. It's a good cash game play right there and a good tournament play. And if you want to take the stab at Scu or Tumani, they're both less than 5K. So I don't mind that price tag, but I think there's better value plays that we've talked about already.
Just not sure if you know, mate, but just before we started recording, Jeremy Grant's been ruled out as well. So, definitely some Denny play then, 100%. Yep. Absolutely. Cool, man. Let's move on to the Lakers side of the ball. As I mentioned early in the recording, the Portland Trail Blazers just give up fantasy points everywhere. I like Davis here. I know you're all over Giannis tonight, but I do like Davis. He put up 60 points against them real easy early in the season. And at the moment, the center position, Portland Trail Blazers, I will target them every single night, almost independent of who's playing them. I'll just lock in the center who's playing against DeAndre Ayton. How about you? Who you got here for the Lakers?
Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head with Anthony Davis. He's in an absolute smash spot, and in any build that I am not targeting Giannis, and I'm not trying to just maximize my value with getting 2 cheap centers in there, I'd probably be playing Davis in some of those lineups. So absolute smash spot for him. And other than him, I think it's probably Austin Reeves for me. I mean, this dude's just been on another planet the past 3 games. It kind of feels like we're chasing a little bit on this, but it's a great matchup for him. At 7,200, there's a lot of guys again in that price range, so you're going to have to make some difficult decisions. But if you're trying to maybe do a little mini game stack and target this one a little bit more, maybe you're on the West Coast, you're staying up late. I don't mind Austin Reeves here. I just think this dude's just been on an absolute burner the past 3 games, and maybe this is the one where we jump on and we get burned. But if it is, so be it.
It's hard to fade him, man. It's 68, 58, and 63 off his last 3 games. And one of those games, LeBron was back. That was where I left Reeves out of lineups and he dropped 63. So the guy's just on fire. And I'm with you. I love playing the late games. I want to have that nice DFS feeling of watching my stacked last game players come through and just pump me up the rankings. And that's that DFS feeling, right? It's pretty cool to do that. I'm with you, man. I'm not really interested in anybody outside of that. Davis came up as questionable. That's pretty standard just before we recorded. So if he can't go, then LeBron does become interesting at 9,900. And that's about it. We've covered 6 games, bro. 6 games in relatively short time for 2 guys. Favorite plays, who have you got? We just give us a couple of names, 2, 3 names, Mike. And
Yeah, so I mean, I'm always in the camp of trying to give value, right? Because I think it's pretty easy to say, Giannis Antetokounmpo is pretty good. Play him, right? I think Trace Jackson Davis at 4,700 is a great value play, especially in this matchup. On the other side of the ball, if we see that Drummond sits, Yabusele, if Drummond plays, you could look at Drummond. We talked about Dante DiVincenzo a little bit earlier in the show. I think at 4,900, the way that he's been getting minutes and what he's been doing with him, I like him. And we'll go Cam Thomas as a mid play, 6,800. Boom.
Beautiful. Quick and easy. My high price guy of the night is actually AD versus Portland. And if Davis can't go, then it's probably LeBron versus Portland. I do like Curry and Zubac around that 7 to 8K pricing versus Philly and OKC respectively. And then I just don't mind a little flick at Anthony Simons now that Jeremy Grant is out. There will be usage going everywhere there. That's it for today, guys. Snack Size DFS, the Brenton and Mike version. We hope to have Mike back here semi-regularly, irregularly. He's a busy guy, but we love his insights for DFS. We know that it takes just that slightly bit longer when there are 2 of us crapping on here about our ideas and plays. But Mike, thank you so much. We appreciate you coming on here. What's your handle, man, on Twitter? Go ahead.
It is at Mike Apotria. So that is at MikeApotria.
We appreciate it, man. I'd love to have you back again soon. It's just great to be back on. And if you heard our little conversations before and after the actual recording, you guys would probably have a big time laugh. It's a lot of fun.
Not all of it's PG rated, though.
No,
so
exactly. But when we hit that record button, everything becomes very mainstream. Don't forget to check the news, guys. We do record here a fair way out before the actual slate starts. So yeah, just keep checking the news, of course. You can find me on Twitter at Terrain72. You can find me on Blue Sky at terrain72.bsky.social. And that is it for us, guys. Thank you, Mike. Back to you, Dan, in the studio.
Thanks, Brenton. Thanks, Mike. So good to have that dude back. So good to have those guys breaking down your DFS card. There are no two DFS minds that I would rather have than those two dudes coming together to get you winners on your daily fantasy card. And it continues to be a damn pleasure that we have it right here on the Old Man Squad Fantasy Sports Network. So much more waiting in the wings. We are in talks to get more dynasty coverage coming in here on our YouTube channel for both basketball and for baseball. Baseball, a lot of baseball stuff right around the corner. It's a good time to be part of the Old Man Squad. Again, a reminder on the way out to like, rate, and subscribe. Subscribe being the big part. Thanks again to Brenton and to Mike for breaking it down on the DFS side. I'm Dan Bespers for the Old Man Squad at large. I'll catch up with you very soon. You guys know you can find my show coming up in the next couple of hours. Until then, adios.